Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen, the channel that brings you your team every single day, guys. Yes, that image there that we're looking at on screen at this moment in time is the greatest Ranger of all time, John Greig, receiving his CBE from His Royal Highness Prince William, the Prince of Wales, today at the Palace. A just reward for truly remarkable, truly legendary man. John Greig is just... the guy is different class. He is a legend. There are not enough superlatives that can be listed about this guy, for what he achieved during his time with the club. For the type of man that he is, for the type of gentleman that he is, for the type of human being that he is, a just reward for a fantastic career and a fantastic man. Congratulations, John, from everyone at Glasgow Rangers Nation. A well-deserved award, a CBE today from Prince William, obviously from King Charles III himself. God save the king. Now, what a way to start! What a way to start a episode of Glasgow Rangers Nation by talking about the greatest Ranger of all time, talking about John Greig, and obviously that deserved award today. It's got to be all downhill, hasn't it? After that, after John Greig, what can you do? But there you go. Anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about January. It's only 34 days away now from January the 1st, when the transfer window will open again, and teams will have the opportunity to further strengthen in January to push on towards the end of the season in that chase for silverware. Certainly something that Rangers will continue to, believe is still very much in their grasp. Still obviously fighting for the League Cup. We have the League Cup final coming up on the 17th against Aberdeen. As well as that, there is the obviously the Scottish Cup. The league is still very much up for grabs, even after the result at the weekend. And obviously the Europa League, we are still in that and contending on 4 fronts going forward. So look, it's all still to play for. And as Phillipe Clement continues to say, it is a marathon, not a sprint. So, January is a time to retool, to re-energize, to add to your squad, to really perhaps, change a couple of things. It's not a time to overhaul. It's not a time to massively change a squad. That is the summer. The summer is the time where you do the rebuild, where you do ship a number of players out and you bring a number of players in. That is the time that you do your rebuilds. You don't do that in January. That is certainly not something that is done by any team, really, if they want to go on to be successful, to in some cases avoid relegation, in other cases contend for trophies, which obviously is where Rangers are at this moment in time. Now, it has been reported in the media today and yesterday that Phillipe Clement is exceptionally eager, shall we say, to add to his squad in January. A lot will obviously depend on what the director of football appointment is, when that is made. Obviously the rumour is it will be before the end of November. And we are only, 2 days now, 28, 29, 30, 3 days, from the end of November. The rumour was that Dimitri Deconda, the former Genk technical director who's worked previously with Phillipe, would be, the man to take over, would be the man to be director of football, taking over from Ross Wilson, a post that hasn't been filled since Ross left. And I think, whoever that is that becomes our director of football going forward, it will be a vital role in helping Phillipe build a squad through January and the summer. Now, Phillipe Clement has said in the past that, in his own words, he is unhappy with the balance of his squad. And I think, it very much is a case that this squad is unbalanced and, lacks in certain positions, lacked not only in numbers, but also in quality in certain positions. He said in the past that he feels that this squad has too many players for some positions and not enough in other areas. Obviously, I think for us, the supporter, winger jumps out massively. He is someone who, has a very clear vision of what he wants from a team. And I think, he will seek to address that in January. Now, according to reports on a number of websites and also in Sky as well, apparently work has already begun at the club towards January. Work has already started in identifying targets, in moving towards, bringing these targets into negotiations to start to talk to the clubs, to get ready for this. January is not just about January the 1st. It opens and everything kicks off. There is a lot of groundwork that goes into preparing transfer bids and preferring players, scouting, etc., etc. Now, one area that is believed that Phillipe Clement wants to address due to, in I think his view, is a lack of quality is the left back area. Now, currently we have 2 left backs at the club as it is, with Borna Barisic and Ridvan Yilmaz. And Phillipe has very much rotated between the two. Yes, he is very much hamstrung by the fact that he can only play Borna in Europe because Borna is the only person in the European squad. Ridvan, in the infinite wisdom of our former manager Michael Beale, was not included in that European squad. Well done, Michael Beale, you absolute clown. Borna Barisic is, entering the last year of his contract as well, and it's looking increasingly unlikely as we move towards January that he is going to be offered a new deal. Please God. So left back is an area apparently that Phillipe Clement wants to strengthen, and I think there is certainly a doubt. If you sort of cast your eye over the fact that Gio and then Michael Beale and now Phillipe Clement seem to have a little bit of a doubt about Ridvan Yilmaz, about his suitability in terms of his hardiness in warding off injury and also in his physical size and frame to play in the Scottish game. So it's felt that left back is an area that Phillipe Clement wants to strengthen in January, especially obviously as it is likely that Ridvan Yilmaz, could well move on in January. Apparently his agent has held talks with Phillipe Clement, and Ridvan is upset with his lack of first team opportunities. So there is a strong rumour doing the rounds that Ridvan could well be moved on in January back to his native Turkey, and Rangers then would be in the market for a left back, especially obviously as well as Borna is out of contract in the summer. And I strongly hope that Rangers do not offer him a new deal. As CJ Novo said on his video yesterday, Borna Barisic is someone who, that once the going gets tough, he kind of disappears. He becomes invisible. His backside goes, I think was the term that Phillipe Clement used. The other area apparently that has been strongly rumoured as needing to be strengthened is Phillipe Clement wants a alternative striker. Yes, we signed Danilo. Yes, we've signed these two people, Cyril Dessers and Sam Lammers, both of whom have, really flattered to deceive in their time at Rangers. They really have struggled and, looked very, very poor. Danilo obviously is clearly the favourite. He is clearly the guy that Clement currently believes in and believes can lead the line. He believes that obviously that Danilo is the main man, but a lot of people feel that Danilo is not, a guy who is an out-and-out striker, certainly not someone who can play up there on his own. And there is certain talk that we do need to bring in another striker. I mean, especially if you consider the fact that in the games that they have played this season between them, for around about £7.5 million, they have conjured just 6 goals, which is particularly shocking when you consider that Aberdeen paid around £550,000 to £600,000 for Bojan Miovski, and he has scored 11 goals in all competitions, certainly more than Dessers and Lammers combined. Now, I know what people say is that Miovski doesn't play against the low block. He doesn't come up against what we come up against week in, week out. But you've got to look at Miovski in isolation in terms of his actual ability and his talent. You look at the way he took that chance, and yes, he was given freedom to attack, but he was cool, he was calm, he was collected. He looks like a guy who knows how to finish. And I honestly believe if Bojan Miovski was in our team, if we had signed Miovski instead of Dessers or Lammers, then I think, you'd be looking at him having, somewhere in the region of already 15, 16 goals for us. If he created the same number of chances that we seem to create that Dessers and Lammers miss, I think Miovski would take more of those than he misses. Certainly that chance that Lammers missed on Sunday, that header, Miovski, and even I would say as well, Antonio Cholak, who we allowed to move on in the summer, would take that chance 9 times out of 10. So, look, I think there is a genuine unhappiness from Clement with the striking options he has at the club. And you've only got to look at, Sunday's game to realise that, the situation was that we were 1-0 down going in towards the last, the end of that game. And, he looks at his bench and he's got Lammers and Dessers. He doesn't even throw Dessers on there. He doesn't even go with Dessers. He allows Danilo, who, is still obviously rebuilding his fitness, to play 90 minutes. He doesn't even risk him. He doesn't even play Dessers. I think there is a real lack of trust in Cyril Dessers from Phillipe Clement. I think Sunday shows that. Dessers is a player lacking confidence, a player who hasn't had a good season in 4 or 5 years. A player who hasn't scored double digits since I think it's 2000 and I think it's 2020, 2019, the last time he scored double digits in a season. And the last time he scored double digits in a league season, you've got to go even further back than that. So I think there is a real lack of confidence in Searle Dessers and to a lesser extent in Sam Lammers from Phillipe Clement. And, you know, it's certainly been talked about that two of the positions that he wants to prioritise in January are the striking position and the left back position. You know, I would certainly welcome a new left back at the club. I do think that these two here have shown that neither of them are particularly good enough for this team. I mean, personally, I rate Ridvan higher than Borna. I know a lot of people disagree with that. You know, I don't rate Borna Barisic. I think he goes missing. I think since the 55 season, he has been very poor. I think he's too slow. I think he's too negative. I think he goes backwards too much. He can't defend. His delivery is not always guaranteed. And on Sunday, you know, as CJ Novo said on his video as well, Borna Barisic was poor. And these two have been, you know, our very own version of the Chuckle Brothers, you know, but not funny at all. You know, very poor indeed. I think there is a real need there. I would hope as well that winger is somewhere on that list. I know we have Matondo and Seema and Scott Wright, but I do feel that another winger is definitely needed. You know, Michael Beale did talk about the fact, and one thing I did agree with Michael Beale on is the fact that we never have quite replaced Ryan Kent. I think that is absolutely true, but we don't want to replace Ryan Kent with, of course, Ryan Kent. We do have Ross McAusland as well, and obviously it was officially confirmed today that Ross McAusland has signed that new 4-year contract and will be a Rangers player until the summer of 2027, which is absolutely fantastic news that young Ross has signed on the dotted line. And like I said on the video the other day, I think it gives hope to, you know, the young players coming through that there is a way into this team, that, you know, Phillipe Clement is as good as his word in terms of the fact that if you are good enough, you are old enough. And certainly the likes of Cole McKinnon, Ishaka Thompson, Robbie Fraser, Zach Lovelace, Bailey Rice, you know, are perhaps more hopeful now that there is a route into the first team for them, and there is a link between that under 21s, that B team, and the first team, and these young lads will get an opportunity to impress and to play for Phillipe going forward. Look, we will leave behind Sunday. We won't mention the performance on Sunday. You know, there's a lot of different opinions about the performance on Sunday, you know, in terms of some people thought we deserved to win, some people thought we were lucky, some people thought we were just poor. You know, it's a whole, it depends, I think, how you look at that game and where you're coming from in terms of your experience of watching Rangers. You know, if you're a fan that kind of really sort of remembers the last few years very well, you are someone who I think, you know, sees that as yet another opportunity missed, whereas the optimist sees it as perhaps you know, a game that on another day we win. It is a very difficult one to assess. Obviously the focus now turns to Thursday night against Aris, and, you know, the desire to obviously win that and make sure that we, you know, are still contending with Real Betis going into that last game for the group leaders position in this Europa League group, something that we are more than capable of getting. We've already beaten Betis once at home. You know, there's every chance with this caliber of you know, this manager that we have and some of the players that we have the ability to beat them on the road in Seville. And then obviously the focus turns to Sunday and Sunday's game. So look, it's all about that. We're going to build obviously towards the Aris game now. That is our focus. You know, we're going to kind of put behind us what happened on Sunday and build towards this Aris Limassol game. And it's Ibrox. It's again a chance for Ibrox to have one of those great Rangers nights, those great Thursday nights, great European nights that we have when the crowd are right behind our boys and we are roaring them on to victory and roaring them on to success at Ibrox against Aris Limassol. Well, guys, hope you've enjoyed the content this morning. If you have, please smash that sub, guys. We're on 3,808 at time of recording. We're going back a little bit, which is worrying. So we do want to go forward. We do want to get to 4K by the end of the year. And look, as I put out on X earlier, look, you know, if you want to follow the channel on any of the social media, it's on the screen now. It's scrolling along where you can find us on social media, on X, on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, on all those areas. You've also got a WhatsApp channel now as well. Glasgow Rangers Nation, look out for that. We're on Threads. We're all over the place. But look, my desire is very much to do this full time, to work on this channel full time, and this to be my full time job. You know, at the moment, the subs aren't high enough and the views aren't high enough. We don't bring in enough cash, you know, to be able to obviously run this as the only thing that I do. I do have to work 40, 48, 50-hour weeks at work as well as do this channel. So it is tough. It is hard. And, you know, it is down to me. So, you know, to do everything, so it seems. So, look, This is where that's my aim. That's my aim. So please smash that sub and help this channel to grow. And obviously, if you can give the video a like, that's the first thing I always need you to do for me. And it always does help out if you do give that video a like. And guys, always remember, we are the people. And on the way out, let's just look at that image again.